and everything coast to coast with your host, Buddy Sotelo Esquire. And I have to say, these are two of my favorite people in the whole world to do a show with, and that is Ellie D and Lex Devine. Welcome very much to the show, and happy last night of Passover to you.
Happy Passover.
Yes, really wonderful to have you. The last time you were on was in January. Can you believe that? So it's been almost half the year since you've been on the show, and I'm sure a lot of things have happened to you. Certainly a lot of things have happened to me. So why don't you tell me where we left off, where we last talked to you, which would be what have you done since January?
Well, Ellie performed at Full Queer Wrestling for Rights in February at Super Bowl.
I did not.
2. Oh. She did not. She performed in April. That's right.
Yes.
She did not perform at Super Bowl.
We attended as fans for Super Bowl 2, which was a great little show. Full Queer is going strong. And
what was the April show called?
The April show was called I Think You Should Lose.
That's right. She performed at I Think You Should Lose.
It's a reference to a Netflix show. Which I filmed a promo that was a parody of one of the sketches from the show. So that was a really fun one to be a part of.
What's the show? What's the show?
I think you should leave.
Oh, okay. All right. I haven't seen it, so now I have something to put on the queue. I just finished Fallout, so I'm now in search of binge mode, where that desperate time in between shows where you're like, I have to have something. I can watch. The news is only going to get me so far, and I do have X-Men 97 in the queue that I'm working on with my kids. But once we're done, but those are only half-hour shows, so you can blow through those in like an afternoon, and a couple more of Invincible, and then a friend of mine told me about 3 Body Problems, so I'm going to see if I can ease myself into that. Okay, you guys say that's good too. Everyone seems to like that show, so I don't tell anything about it. I know absolutely nothing. My friend swore to me, he's like, I won't tell you because I don't want you to know anything.
Going into it blind is the best thing. But
that's a good way to go.
That's how I was, basically.
We were big fans of the books.
Yeah.
But Ellie went in blind with the books, as did I.
Except for me talking about them to him.
But those were a really good experience. The show is very different, but I think it's very good on its own.
Kind of like Fallout. I played the video game since it came out in '98. I've been playing it, so I've been for me, the Fallout universe is like a huge thing for me. And so, but I've noticed they've brought in a lot of things that aren't in the video game, so you can watch it and not be a fan of the game and still get a lot out of that show. Same way, And I think there's something to be said about wrestling in that sense too. Like, it always helps when you have a storyline, but if you do things the right way, each match that you have can have a storyline.
Yes.
In and itself, that doesn't need a huge external storyline to be able to tell what's going on in the ring and what is happening and why you're actually fighting and making people care or not.
On that note, in addition to the Full Queer date that we mentioned, LEDs performed at some other new venues for the first time in the last couple of months.
Well, not so much LED as,
Sailor Mask, right?
Sailor Mask.
Am I not supposed to blow that if I've blown the...
It's so hard because, I want to protect the business.
You're fine.
But I also want to claim Sailor Mask.
You should.
We're on to something here. So
I like it.
She's LED's alter ego, and she's been a very long time coming because I was the Sailor Moon character for the Cosplay Wrestling Federation, and I was the champion for a while as Sailor Moon. And before I even started training, I had it on, like, the first time I was asked to make a bucket list. A wrestling bucket list by Rick Luxury. The first thing I wrote on there was, I want to wrestle as Sailor Moon. So not literally Sailor Moon because it wasn't a cosplay show. It was a lucha show. It was put on by Wrestling for Charity at the Gilroy branch of the Santa Clara Public Library. It was amazing. I had such a good time, and hopefully, Robert and crew are watching, and
I can tell you,
appreciate the shout out because I loved working with them.
Robert and I had extensive discussions about your performance, and you were beloved.
Oh, that's so
the term beloved. It was thrown around a lot, and how could anyone love you? So you got that going for it. No, you. Not only that, we're looking forward to having Lex be part of the scene too, and we're gonna work both of you guys in future shows. We only had 2 matches on that show, so it's hard to fit a lot of people in it. But when we do a larger card, and who knows, the way you were received so well in Gilroy, sorry, you were received so well in Gilroy that there's a good chance that you guys will be welcome back to do something bigger there. That they'll ask Wrestling for Charity to do a larger card there, maybe, and well, tell me about that experience. Go ahead and explain what it was like to do that show.
Sure. So, I had just started the finishing touches for prep for the Full Queer show, and I get a text from Marco Mayur, and he says, "Ellie, do you still have a lucha mask? If so, do you want to wrestle next Saturday?"
Always have a mask. Always have a mask. You now learn the value of having a mask in your collection.
And mine is fully custom because I made it myself as a test case.
Wow. Do you have it?
I do.
Can you show me the mask if you don't mind?
Yeah, maybe. Give me one moment.
No problem.
But let me finish the story first.
Yeah, go right ahead. Go ahead.
In the bag right behind you. I still have it unpacked. I'm so bad at unpacking after shows.
I still have
I'm the kind of person who I don't unpack from a vacation or a trip for like 3 months until I need the suitcase again.
You might be headed somewhere else again. No, it's don't apologize.
So after I said yes, I have the mask. And I can wear it. I tried it on and realized that because I have a thicker neck than I had when I made it, and more hair, it was no longer actually comfortable for me to wear.
Oh, no.
The style that I make goes over my signature goggles.
Yeah.
The goggles need to be on under the mask, and then it fits on over my head.
That's nice construction. That's you sewed that together really well.
So I sewed this the week before the show because I thought, man, I have already committed to wrestling in a mask, but I realistically don't think I could wrestle well in the one that I already had made. So I looked at the gear that I had and I thought, what do I have that's generic enough that it's not going to be my existing character in a mask, which is not what I wanted. I think lucha is its own art form. It needs to be respected as such. And so I'm trying to keep the kayfabe of these two characters very separate. Until, Secret Identities reveal. Turns out I had moon power the whole time to transform. But yeah, so I had the Sailor Moon gear from when
I like it. Wow, that's really nice.
That's
really nice.
Out of it, especially for like less than a week. So I found out that I was going to be wrestling my friend Rosie Fingers, and I was really excited because I heard we were the only girls on the card. And I think she didn't realize that the show was in Gilroy or in the AM because she lives in San Francisco and doesn't own a car. And so to get to me to drive there, and then also get to like Petaluma. I think she was in Petaluma later that day for a different show. So like she regrettably had to cancel. And
physically you'd have to have a teleporter to be able to pull that off.
So I messaged Robert and I said, I don't know if Rosie Fingers reached out to you. She just let me know that she can't make it, but I want to affirm that I want to do this. I want to be there. I will manage someone. I will fight anyone. I'm happy to fight men. In fact, I prefer it. And he said, "Oh, great! I'll probably put you in triple threat."
let's stop that for just a sec. Why do you prefer wrestling with guys?
Ooh, this is getting really personal.
Okay, that's what we're here for.
When I was a kid, I was really, really severely bullied, and my worst bullies were boys. And I'd get beaten up a lot, and they did horrible things and said horrible things for my self-esteem. And so part of the fantasy of wrestling for me is kind of getting to relive some of those situations, but I'm in control position. I'm in control. And I get to tell a different version of that story. So
that's amazing, but it's very touching.
When it's a woman, I never, none of the women I've fought look anything like the girls that were mean to me. But it's really easy to pretend when it's a guy coming at you with a forearm,
Well, I'm sorry you had to suffer that way, but it's amazing to hear it as a turnaround. I don't think you're totally unusual. There's a number of guys I know that, were small and bullied a lot when they were kids, and, they put themselves in amazing shape, and wrestling allows you to again, retell the story of like how you grew up, because now you're the one body slamming people, and you're the one, with your hands raised at the end of the. Absolutely. So continue on with your WFC, but I was very interested to hear about that, because people have different.
It kind of comes back. So I woke up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday and drove to Gilroy on my own. And I always heard, all the vets talk about I drove 4 hours for a hot dog and a handshake bookings, I showed up. I didn't even know if I was on the card. I talked my way onto the pre-show. Like, I always said, I want to do that. And
what it takes. It's what it takes.
I don't take enough initiative just showing up places. And it's something I think I should maybe work on and focus on. But I also have really enjoyed the last minute fill-in bookings thing as a way to prove myself to people, because when you're down a woman, you need another woman usually. And I'm happy to do that. Just
remember, the most magical words in professional wrestling, guys. What's the most magical word? The magical set of words in professional wrestling. No. No. The most magical sentence in professional wrestling is card subject to change.
Yes.
You can do anything you want, because the card is always subject to change. And so that is the opportunity. Card subject to change is your opportunity to get back into the ring and do what you need to do to, impress people and get yourself booked for the next show. So I'm proud of you. Proud of you for, understanding that, the other thing that I think it was Max Justice told me this, which is that no matter where you go, even if you're just going to watch the show, always bring your gear. And by gear, I mean, he said, mask, tights, and if you can get one, a ref's uniform. Because refs don't show up. And that's another opportunity for you,
I've taken that very literally. I've literally, the first booking I got this year was for an Oasis Pro show, because one person didn't show up. And they only had one other woman, and they were like, well, I guess we'll make her a manager. And I was like, no, put me in, coach. I have gear. And I had 2 different sets of gear, and I picked the one that I thought would be most appropriate for the match.
Bring heel and face gear, always. Yes. Great idea, too.
So moving forward, I think I have to bring Sailor Mask along with LED.
Sure.
Sailor Moon doesn't go anywhere without her transformation item. Neither should she. Neither should I. Ellie.
One thing that a lot of people didn't know is that Simon Gotch, who wrestled here in Northern California as Seth, Psycho Seth, and a bunch of other different names, he would be super otaku. He had a super otaku outfit. And for Wrestling for Charity, he would, or for California Championship Wrestling, he would wrestle as Seth, then as Otaku, and sometimes do a run-in later as one of the other two, so that people would have to keep guessing it was really him or not. And that's kind of fun sometimes when you work two matches in the same show as your different personalities, and people don't, it gets the kayfabe up that you're two different, your wrestlers are two different people. So
well, I don't know how far I want them to be different people, because if I'm envisioning this as like a Sailor Moon thing, then it's definitely like she doesn't want you to notice. She doesn't want you to notice that her hairstyle stays consistent between the pre-transformation and the post-transformation kind of thing. I haven't really figured that out yet, but this was the first time I got to wrestle as this character. Oh, so I get to Gilroy, and it's like shortly after 10 a.m., and I change in the library bathroom, and I come out, and Carmelo Romeo, who...
Hey, you're lucky you got a bathroom. We sometimes got the alleyway.
So technically,
a better bathroom than most venues, to be honest.
So the library was open, but the bathroom was technically closed. And I do feel a little bad about this, but I was like, I'm not changing in the open back of a U-Haul while there's a food truck setting up right next to us. Like, I don't want to be that distracting to these hardworking folks that are here to make money. So I snuck into the library bathroom while it was being cleaned. I just like waited for the lady to come out, and then I like darted into the one she had just cleaned, and I kept it clean. And I came out, and Carmelo Romeo, who was one of my two opponents, really nice guy, really enjoyed working with him. He's out of East Bay Pro, so we talked about how we know all the same people, and the little funny anecdotes about, the tricky bathrooms and whatnot there. It was fun. And so we started talking through the match, and then our other opponent arrived. Ezra is what he goes by. I don't know if there's a last name.
Just Ezra.
I think it's just Ezra. Anyway,
it's all caps too.
Yes. And he has, between the three of us, he was definitely like the veteran. So we asked him for, to kind of step up and be a leader for us and like explain what he thought would be a good, structure for a triple threat. It was my first triple threat in front of an audience also. And I feel like I really learned a lot on the job, which was amazing. It's exactly what I want out of like smaller shows. We kept it really simple. The story was really cute. Ezra was picking on both of us, and I was kind of picking on Carmelo also because I wanted him to fight me. And he kept saying, no, I can't hit a girl. I can't hit a girl. And later in the match, he said, I'm like, why won't you hit me? And he says, I'm a gentleman. And I'm like, oh, you're a gentleman? Well, I'm a wrestler. And then I cut him off. Worked into the ropes.
Now that's awesome. I love that.
The prop was huge.
That is great.
Props to Ezra, because the way he's the one who, when we were like kind of running through it and bantering about like what we would want to smack talk at each other, he's the one who was like, this is how you should phrase it. Like, ad lib everything, but this is how you should phrase it. So it was great. It really felt like a collaboration in a way that, a lot of my matches have not had, because we were specifically trying to tell a specific story, or there was a specific goal out of the match, or, a setup for longer story. It was so nice and so freeing to just be able to throw our ideas together and like really collaborate. It was awesome.
That's great. Now, Lex, did you go to the show too, or were you able to go down to
Gilroy? No, I actually missed this one. I had a family obligation. My mother was performing in a concert.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, sometimes you can't be two places at once, and you were a last minute fill-in, obviously. So yeah, it was you couldn't plan it as much as you probably would have liked to. But have you been managing LED in any other shows recently?
No, actually, I don't think I've ever managed LED.
Just practice matches.
Yeah, I had been managing a few other people at Full Queer. Really, at the moment, I'm sort of taking some time off from wrestling. I've been focusing on my out of wrestling career, which is quite a challenge at the moment.
What is going on there? If you care to like
sure. I can talk about that. So here's some promo for Form Energy. They're making the first ever iron air battery. It's a large utility scale battery made without any lithium. So we get to avoid needing to mine lithium. We can skip a bunch of the other toxic and hazardous aspects of lithium-ion batteries composition chemically. And, you know, it's way more recyclable, for one thing. But then on top of that, it's not flammable the way that lithium-ion batteries are. So they notoriously tend to, like, burst into flames and stuff. Tesla,
yes.
For this.
Yes.
But these iron air batteries, they just don't do that.
Wow.
Lithium, and it's
I've never even heard of that, and that's a good little scoop. But sorry to miss you out of the managerial ranks. Hopefully you can return. You know, as I said, I think WFC is going to plan to have some bigger shows this year, and in doing so, we definitely want to have would you ever manage her as Sailor Mask, or is she only going to be?
We talked about that actually.
We talked about a tuxedo. I think the tuxedo manager might have been the name concept to go with Sailor Mask and tuxedo manager.
Yes.
It seems like a pretty convenient distraction with throwing roses in, as Tuxedo Mask often did in the Sailor Moon anime.
So yeah, you're going for that deep, like, dive into Sailor Moon, and I know that you're a huge. Now, why don't we talk about that for a minute or so? Explain to me your fascination of Sailor Moon and how that affects, you know, what you do as a wrestler and what you're doing with the Sailor Mask character. So tell us something.
So, some background: I've been watching Sailor Moon since I was 4. It has been a part of my life through every single formative stage of my life. I reread it when I was off in college. I cosplayed it from the time I was like, I don't know, 13 all the way through my 20s, because my Sailor Moon character was such a comfort zone for me. And it's girl power, and it's, you know, nostalgic, and there's a lot that is really appealing about that. But for me personally, the appeal of Sailor Moon was that she was a crybaby. Like, she was not courageous. She was not athletic, but she is extremely powerful, and she's extremely emotional. And that's hand in hand. Literally, her power source is a crystal in her heart, and it emerged when she cried over the perceived death of a loved one for the first time. Like, it is explicitly in the text that her emotions make her powerful. And I was a sensitive kid, and I got bullied a lot. So for me, it was like, you can still be a hero. You can be, you know, a very powerful person, and you can be any type of woman too. Like, there's the sporty one, there's the brainy one, there's the spiritual one, there's the boy crazy one, there are lesbian ones, there's a chronically ill one, and there are trans people too. So it's like, it really, regardless of how you experience womanhood, if you identify with womanhood, you'll find kinship with one of these characters, I think. So it's really, like, for me, Sailor Moon was the one. I always thought I looked more like Jupiter. She's got, like, brown hair and a ponytail, and she's the tall one. But, like, Sailor Moon's my girl. We're both Cancers. Yeah, and I've spent so much of my life thinking about this character. I've literally wrote a college essay on Sailor Moon.
Is Sailor Moon a Cancer?
She is, yeah. She was born June 30th. Don't ask how I know. It's just one of those things I've retained. Yeah, so her birthday's 2 days before mine. Like, it's really sweet to meet little kids who, for one reason or another, are also growing up on Sailor Moon. Like, a lot of people my age already have kids that are at the age I was or later, where, you know, if my peers liked Sailor Moon and they're having kids, they might show it to them. So like little kids knowing the reference point was great, but the adult women in that audience really solidified for me that this was a good move, because I heard people chanting girl power and I got a Sailor Moon chant, but the video that Carmelo posted of the match, you can hear during my entrance that some library staff ladies are saying, "Oh wow, there's a girl wrestler. Oh, she's so cool. I hope she wins."
Do you feel people connect more with the Sailor Mask character than they do LED because of that?
No, not necessarily. I do think, though, if you're going to go for a cheap pop, go for a cheap pop. You know, you enter to the Sailor Moon music, you look like an existing character. People don't need to, like, you don't need to grow on them. They just buy in the second they see you because they know where you're coming from. And I feel like it doesn't take a lot for people to buy into my character, but she's not as likable or like universally beloved as Sailor Moon. Like, I know for a fact, I've gotten the feedback from some people whose opinions I respect and some who I don't, that the LED character is annoying.
Right, and that's okay. I mean, it's good to have.
Like, oh, I couldn't tell if you were a heel or a face because you seemed so annoying. And I was like, wow, okay, mean.
Now, as a slightly side note, have you seen Has Been Hotel?
I have not, but I have a friend who's working on a cosplay for it as we speak. So
it's the hit of the cosplay, crowd. But there's a character in Has Been Hotel named Mimsy, and I was just I was curious if anyone compared LED to Mimsy at all. Because if you do watch it, watch for Mimsy's appearance and see what you think about that. And by the way, I think you guys would absolutely love Has Been Hotel. It's really written on a very high. The animation is over the top, and I think some people get caught up in that. But the story itself is incredibly complexly written. The whole world building that they create about hell and the political society and the different areas of hell and who has what sort of political ranking over what is way thought deeply, much higher than just what you see on the show. There's a background to the show that's much greater than the show itself. And that, I think, is what often makes things really watchable. When you know that you're watching things, but there's stuff going on behind the scenes that's even greater than that the show is going to eventually lead towards. And I think that's why you like that. And the way I think that has to do with wrestling too is if you've got that deeper storyline, that even though you can show a shallow storyline every week, you're still something people understand that there's something more sinister or deeper that's going to happen with that particular character. Not at this show, because there were only 2 matches, and it was really just you did it for the kids. That's
awesome. Yeah.
Were there a lot of kids?
It was entirely kids. The name of the event that the library was doing, I think, was Dia de los Niños. So Day of the Child, or Day of Children's Day, something like that.
How big was the turnout?
Pretty good. I would say there were 40 kids, maybe.
Yeah, and I think Butch said around, maybe with the parents and everything, maybe around 200 people total,
for sure.
In and out. So that for just 2 matches, and something that was just meant for helping out the visibility of the library. It was a big success according to Butch, and I'm really proud that you were part of it, and I'm proud that you took the effort to drive down there. It was especially it's about a 3-hour drive to Gilroy.
not even. I got there in just over 2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours. That's still sizable.
And that was with the traffic slowdown.
Yeah.
Like there was an accident. But it's one of my very best friends actually came out to see me at the show because she lives in San Martin.
Okay.
So we're driving to visit each other all the time. And San Martin is like 15 minutes away from Gilroy. So as I was like, I didn't really know where Gilroy was in relation to the rest of the Bay Area until I was driving past the San Martin exit and thought, oh crap, I need to text Lindsay because there's no way, like I did not think she was going to be able to come see me wrestle. And actually she didn't get there in time to see my match, but she did see the second match. And we got to hang out after the show, which is really more what I thought. I was going to be like, oh, if I've driven all the way out here and I don't have to drive anybody home except for myself, that's a great opportunity. I should hang out with my friend who I don't get to see very often. So, but she came out and I told her about, my other South Bay shows coming up, and it sounds like she's going to come out and support me. So she doesn't want to drive up to Sacramento to watch me wrestle, but.
Right. Well, from San Martin to Sacramento, that is a significant drive. So, it was good that you were in the neighborhood. So tell me, like, what some of the things are that you guys are planning for in the future.
Well, you have 2 dates in May.
Mm-hmm.
LED will be at, is it SCW?
Yes, South Bay Championship Wrestling in Santa Clara, May 18th. And I'll be in Woodland, California for the Collectible Stampede show on May 26th also.
Memorial Day weekend.
And that is going to be really fun and probably really, really hot. So come out and see me, but bring a water bottle and a hat.
What's that? What's that show about? What's the collectible show about?
It's a convention.
It's like a swap meet.
It's a toy convention swap meet situation. And they booked a wrestling show, to have live entertainment. You see this sometimes at other conventions in the Valley. I think Stockton Con has wrestling from time to time.
Yeah, Stockton Con and Lodi Comic Con also. They're all basically part of the SPW umbrella, I believe, actually. Or at least they use the SPW ring and like a lot of the same people.
SPW, of course, used to do wrestling shows at SAC Anime also. We were both in one of those shows, actually 2 of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
So you're building up quite a resume now. I mean, you've gone from just being 1 or 2 feds. Now you've worked like about 5 or 6. It sounds like,
Getting up there, yeah.
Which is really great.
I think there's a rumor that LED might be on Action Coast Wrestling soon.
It's a rumor that you're starting.
It's a rumor.
We're planning on talking about it for sure. And I'd love to work at East Bay Pro, where I started, especially now that I know Carmelo and he's cool, and it'd be cool to work with him again. I just heard, unfortunately, way too late about the Level Up Expo in Las Vegas, where there was 3 days of wrestling programming, and I wish I had known, because I would have, messaged a bunch of people in a flurry or like planned to just go out and take pictures.
So it's next year.
Because I have
next year, so make sure you're on like the mailing list so that like you can contact them, next year early and get in on that. But it's all right. I mean, Las Vegas, that is a long ways to go. I mean, you would have to fly out for something like that.
I had a lot of friends that were there, so I feel like it would have been a big party. Very fun. But also Passover, like not the best time to travel. So
Yeah, absolutely. But is there like a particular show out after May that you guys have booked? I know that you're also going to start your own, or you're looking at trying to get your own Fed going. How's that going along? Not so easy.
Oh yeah. It just hasn't been my #1 priority in life right now, to be honest. I do still want to try it out. I've always had this dream of running a Unitarian church benefit fed, essentially. So that'll come together at some point. We're talking about doing it in July. Fingers crossed.
Bree Cat seems to agree with you.
You know, we both have July birthdays. I wonder if we might just want to set a date, call it a birthday party, and book it like that.
Like a big Toko's kickback.
Yeah. Or
all three of us have July birthdays.
Ah.
Well, then the trio of us can promote it as our birthday show.
All four if you include my brother. So that's mine's,
Yeah, bring 'em. Let's do
mine's
it.
July 19th. And I think yours is July 19th, isn't it? Also, Lex?
The 14th, but you're close.
14th. It's my brother's birthday. Your birthday's the same day as my brother's, and mine's the 19th. So something about I always thought having a summer birthday actually kind of sucked, to be honest with you, because everybody was in camp or on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And so my birthdays were always spent with my family. And what sucks more than that? Having birthday with your family. I'm telling you.
I was so jealous of the kids in the school gear who, like, their friends would decorate their lockers for their birthday. We never got that.
I had some teachers who did some really nice birthday stuff for some other kids, but you know.
I was always in camp, and there were a bunch of kids that didn't know me from crap, so they didn't give a damn if I had my birthday or not. And all my other friends were on vacation and stuff like that, so I never ever got to see them. So yeah, no, summer. I don't know. My kids are born in August, so it's like right when school comes back in to session. So at least they're there, you know, with their friends when their birthday rolls around. So I also wanted to ask you guys about like what's hot in anime, because you know I know you guys that's a big thing for you guys, and it wouldn't be an interview with you without talking a little anime with you. So what's hot in anime for you right now?
This isn't literally anime, but the Netflix adaptation of One Piece is really good. That's anime adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
I should see that. I am a big fan of the show, so the anime show. I have not seen the actual live. It's live action, right?
Mm-hmm.
One Piece.
It's like the first good anime live action adaptation. It's crazy good.
Nice. That's a lot of those have failed. You know, Akira, looking at you.
Oh God. Oh, we don't talk about
that one was. I mean, that was probably the biggest draw, or maybe what was the other one in the shell? I forgot the
Ghost in the Shell movie.
Yes, Ghost in the Shell. I'm not sure which one did more dishonor to the source material, Akira or Ghost in the Shell. You know,
we were pretty upset about the Death Note live action adaptation too.
Oh, Death Note. Oh yeah.
And Cowboy Bebop got adapted too.
Really? I didn't know that was.
Yeah, that one was on Netflix, and nobody talks about it. The Avatar: The Last Airbender live action, I know it's not technically anime to most people because it didn't come out of Japan, but I think it counts. But it was not good. I noped out of there in 6 minutes. I knew I didn't want to watch that show.
Wow, but I'll check out One Piece.
One Piece.
Yeah, One Piece is good.
That's
I feel like I'm actually, I think we're pretty behind on like the current anime landscape. Because we were keeping up with My Hero Academia and like the One Piece anime, and like I was catching a couple new releases a little, but it's like all the time that we would be spending watching anime, we're just watching wrestling instead.
And what kind of wrestling are you guys watching these days?
Well, we did just watch the AEW pay-per-view Dynasty. That was a really good show.
And we caught WrestleMania both nights.
What were your thoughts of WrestleMania?
What was that?
What were your thoughts about WrestleMania?
You know, I liked it.
Yeah.
The Cody storyline, it made sense. The number of cameos in the match was a little over the top. The number of runs.
They had me until that moment, and then they lost me, and then they got me back. But yeah,
I liked it in the end. I thought it was funny, to have that absurd number of different run-in interruptions.
I thought Bailey versus Io was
a
match of the night.
That was one of the best matches
of the weekend. Really, it felt so real to me in so many moments.
And it's
I
great to
really
see
like
Bailey
Jimmy
win.
versus Jey Uso. That one took me by surprise for sure.
Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Great moment, winning the championship.
The Damian Priest run in.
Losing it immediately.
So good.
But he had a really
I
good
thought that was totally predictable. I thought that I saw that coming from a
setting that
mile
up for
away.
months. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
to me, I don't know. I would have liked to see Drew McIntyre at least hold it till Monday night and then, or Thursday. Have him have like a week with the championship rather than 28 seconds. That's kind of brutal to Drew to fight a match that hard and then to lose the title that quickly. He deserves a little bit more of a run with the title. This is my thought.
He's an absolute great. Like no disputing that he deserves a long and delicious title run. I hope that Damian Priest holds it for a little bit, uses it to get himself over as possible, and then Drew McIntyre can come back, challenge him for it. They have a really good storyline, and then
I have a feeling that with Triple H now, there's going to be more title changes and less guys holding on to titles and not defending them like we saw with Roman Reigns. I think that's the last time.
And Lesnar too, yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to see a guy just fight 12 matches in a year. I think that I know that it's rough on guys, but come on. I mean, considering how you fight, are willing to fight like 5 matches in a weekend if you could. I'm not asking for that. But,
I would like to start.
Try 2 in a weekend.
I was going to say I'd like to start with 2 in the same weekend. I've got.
I know Big Ugly's done 5 in a weekend. I know that Big Ugly has done 5. I remember talking to him in the middle of those 5 matches, and I was like, because he came into the match, he was already beaten up. He was already got bruises and scars from the day before. I was like, how? He's like, oh, I was already wrestling earlier this day at some other fair, and now I'm wrestling tonight in Newman, and later we're all driving up to Oregon to wrestle 2 matches the next day in Oregon. I was like, you're insane, man. You're just insane. So
Lodi Comic Con and Stockton Con are coming up this summer. I think Lodi Comic Con is later this month or early next month. No, later next month or early June, maybe. I need to look it up. But yeah, I have a goal set for the end of the year to have a 2-show wrestling weekend and a 3-show wrestling weekend. And whichever one comes first is cool. I mean, obviously one includes the other, but yeah, I wanted to wrestle 10 matches this year, and I'm on track. I've wrestled about an average of a match a month. So
nice.
So yeah, let's make sure we crab some in. If I can increase that goal to 15 or 20 or 25, that would be even better. But I'm trying to set realistic goals so that when I check them off, I can celebrate the little accomplishment and then immediately hustle on to the next one.
Very good. No, that's exactly the way to do it. So in the last 5 months, tell me something that you think that you've learned that's been critical towards your success, your future success in wrestling.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know I asked a tough question.
Should I?
I don't know. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Okay, well that I would agree with that, and it goes along with making sure you have all your gear with you so that you can do something different if you need to.
Sailor Mask, for instance, I think is a really good example of I think something that's got legs.
Sure, and you could when when you try new things, you can always see if it gets over or not. And, you know, again, a lot of people don't remember that the Honky Tonk Man was supposed to be a face when he debuted. And people booed him so much and hated him so much that basically during a promo, he decided it's time to go heel. And once he went heel, he never went back. He became one of the most successful heels in WWE history. So sometimes the crowd will tell you how well something gets over, and you work with the crowd. So I think, you know, like Ellie, if people think she's obnoxious, check out the Mimsy character and see what obnoxious you can do to, you know, turn that up and play on that and really, you know, work fans into a frenzy. Because again, as long as they don't go mild, as long as the crowd doesn't go mild, you're doing the right thing. So
nobody's booked me as a heel yet.
She's available.
Big oversight. I do work heel. And not to brag, but of course, as a heel, you have to brag. I'm really good at being really mean, especially to like those 18-year-old prodigies who like, oh my gosh, wow, you did cheerleading in high school, and then the next year you stopped going to school to pursue pro wrestling. What a privilege. Oh, you're just so precious. I have socks older than you.
I like that. I think actually, you know, if we do a WFC show, I'd like to see if we could find out a way to double book you and have you as
Ellie D can wear a different hairstyle than Sailor Mask, and she can be the heel. I don't want to turn Sailor Mask heel. It's really important.
No, Sailor Mask should definitely be your face character.
But Ellie D,
yeah,
she has big feelings she needs to get off her chest.
That's nice.
I would love to work heel.
Yeah, no, I think that would be a big plus if, you know, we gave you that opportunity, especially if you haven't worked heel. And that gives Lex a really good opportunity as the manager to set you up, because, you know, bring in a manager, all of a sudden you're going to be a heel just right off the bat without any kind of, unless you sell it like Tuxedo. And then you really, you know, people know that that's what that character is supposed to be about. But as soon as most people see a lady with a male manager, you're going to get heat right from the start there. So, well, we're getting close to the end of the interview here. But I mean, I really, you know, appreciate you guys being here on a, you know, last second basis. We had some cancellations, but you guys are always welcome to be on the show. Anything that you guys are really looking forward to, like your deep plans for later? You said you want to do a match a month, but is there like a big show that you guys are looking to work maybe later in the year? Anything like
that? I guess I'd hope to be part of Full Queer's Folsom show again. That would be a big one this summer.
When's that going to be? When's that going to be?
Whenever the Folsom Street Fair is, whatever day that is.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they have a date set yet for this year publicized, actually.
Last year was in September. I don't know when it'll be this year.
Yeah, that had like 300,000 people at it, you know. So
and it was such a great experience. Would love to do that again.
We put on a 7-hour show with 100 performers.
When's the next Full Queer performance?
Their next show is in June. I think it's June 9th. It's called America Has a Problem.
Yeah, Pride or Die 2, America Has a Problem.
Is that going to be back at the brewery again, the Armistice Brewery?
Yes,
then please let me know about it. I wasn't able to make the last one, but I would really love to make the next one.
Full disclosure, to my knowledge, I am not booked on this one.
Oh, really?
Neither is Lex. So, card subject to change.
Yeah,
but they have some big names.
Do they have
we
Effie?
think. Nothing's been publicized, but let's just say long-time Bay Area wrestling fans who just know the indies will be very excited to see some of the folks they're planning to bring in. Some old favorites and some new folks who are making their debuts.
Of course, Full Queer has an amazing
But this is the rumor mill, you know.
Featured some amazing names from all over the country.
One thing I do really want to put over about this show, though, is one of my classmates from Stoner U is going to be making her full queer debut. She was just at Level Up Expo and made her in-ring debut there. She wrestles as Jessie Reina Capablanca. She has been a referee with Full Queer for a long time, going by Referee Domino. She's amazing. I'm really excited for her match, and I do apologize to her if she's watching that you were a casualty of my match earlier this month, but at least it's getting you a match finally because you deserve it.
Great. Well, why don't you guys give out your social media info and how people can follow what you're doing, you know, inside the ring and out if they want to, and then let you get on with your Sunday evening.
You can find me on Twitter X, Instagram, and newly created TikTok at Ellie Delightful. I changed my name so that it would be much easier to spell and remember. So,
and on YouTube.
And on YouTube as LED.
Great. Well, I really am hoping for the best for you folks. It's always great to see you again. Hope it's not another 5 months before we get you on the show. And, and hopefully I can see you guys in June if you guys are going to be at the Full Queer show. I definitely love to see you guys again in person. So anyway, all the best for you, and thanks so much. And we'll see each other again soon. Good night, everyone.